but I did Google him and the devil because I wanted to know why that's the title. And when you look up him, there have been moments in the Powerpuff Girls, and there's a band named Him. And they both are using him as an acronym. And the acronym is His Infernal Majesty, meaning the devil. All right, so let's talk about the Him teaser trailer that was released, I guess, a couple of days ago. Now, Him is a film. It looks like it's a football horror or sports horror, which many are saying has never really been done before. And they're excited about that. But this particular film is produced by Jordan Peele. I have to admit, initially I thought he was the writer, director, but this is going to be his production. The director is Justin Tipping, and the writers are Zack Akers and I believe Skip Bronkie are the writers. So this is quite interesting. It's starring Tyriq Withers and Marlon Wayans. And I have to say, I'm a fan of Marlon Wayans. I believe he is an underrated actor. Yes, he's a comedian. He's great with that as well. But wow, he truly has some acting chops. You could just see it from this teaser trailer. I'm really excited to see him in this upcoming role. And hey, let's break down a little bit of what we can, I guess, talk about. Again, it's a teaser, so, you know, there's probably going to be some things that will be released in the official trailer and obviously in the movie. But let's see what we can kind of gather from the teaser. To me, it started like how many folks were saying, almost like a shoe commercial. You know, it was quite motivating. In fact, if you're on social media, you see kind of similar motivational clips. You can be anything. You can take over the world and be the greatest. You just have to believe in yourself, and you got to be willing to sacrifice. In fact, that's what Marlon Wayans' character kept repeating. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? In the beginning of the clip, again, it felt like a motivational speech. Of course, yes. What are you willing to sacrifice? You can't have any days off sometimes. You can't get as much sleep, etc. We've all heard these type of things when it comes to trying to become your greatest self, right? But then when you look at the trailer, obviously it takes a dark turn, and he's saying the same thing. What are you willing to sacrifice? So it kind of has a double meaning, because now it's about, are you willing to perhaps sell your soul? Are you willing to perhaps harm others? Are you willing to do things that may go against your morals? So many people are expecting this film to maybe touch on what many believe to be the dark side of maybe the entertainment industry and maybe even the sports industry, where people have pretty much given up who they really are in order to obtain some type of fame or to obtain some type of success. And I have to admit, if you look at the super successful, those who just reach the top in terms of fame, etc., I have found just throughout the years, you know, as a kid, you used to look at it and say, oh, I want that life. But as an adult, and you see where a lot of those superstars, where they headed, some of them aren't even here. I mean, during my childhood, the three top artists of that era were Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Prince. All three of them have passed away at fairly young ages, and quite frankly, tragically, and also alone. So it was like, what were they willing to sacrifice to reach that type of success? And I've also heard from, there's this author, Mark Manson. I believe he helped Will Smith with his biography. He said what he learned with working with Will Smith, who was also an artist who has reached the top. And he has been very open about some aspects of his life that, have been difficult. But I think, Will Smith is very self-aware. And I don't think what happened to the Michael Jacksons or the Whitney Houstons and Princes will necessarily happen to Will Smith. Again, I think he's very self-aware about, the difficulties of fame. And I think he's managing it the best way he can. But what Mark learned through Will is that, your climb to the top is fun. But once you reach that top and you go to that other side, it's almost like a bell curve. It's darn near like downhill from there because everybody knows your name. And that's not necessarily natural for everybody to know who you are, for you not to be able to even just go to the store when you want to, how you maybe have to call ahead, etc. Or everyone is talking about your personal life. That's just not natural. So I'm of the thought that maybe it's best to really be in that middle class of fame where you're still doing what you love, you're making some good money, but you can maybe still shop at a grocery store if you want to, and not too many people may bother you. I feel like that middle ground is probably the best place to be, but I believe this film will touch on that. Obviously, it's going to go to an extreme because it's getting into the evil and maybe some ritual type things are happening. You saw a scene where he knocks someone down and I don't know if they end up being unalived or severely injured. And maybe that's a point where he transforms into something. I don't know. It's hard to determine where this film is headed because it's just a teaser. But I did Google him and the devil because I wanted to know why that's the title. And when you look up him, there have been moments in the Powerpuff Girls, and there's a band named Him. And they both are using him as an acronym. And the acronym is His Infernal Majesty, meaning the devil. So I don't know if these writers are kind of feeding off of that as to why they called this him. In addition, him could be, I'm the one, I'm the man right now, in terms of in this with this game of football. But we'll see. I'm excited to see this film. I think it is going to hit on some interesting themes. I love a film that has deep themes so that we can really dissect it and talk about it and see how we can apply it to our lives and maybe hopefully better our lives and avoid certain pitfalls in our lives, But that's my thoughts on him. What are your thoughts? If you have seen the teaser trailer, comment below. I'll catch you next time. Peace.